Does this guy over my shoulder look familiar to you? Well, he should. Stick around if you want to find out where I'm at and what I'm going to be doing. So this video has me back down here at Valley Forge National Park, and I am actually at Washington headquarters. But I am not here at Washington headquarters to really check out the building where he stayed and everything. I'm actually here to do a little bit of exploring, but I had to park here to get to where I want to go, and that is to an area where there was a place, actually a plant called the Colonial Springs Bottling Plant. So had to park over here at Washington's headquarters, and I'm going to have to trek probably about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile, through some trails to get out there and check out this bottling plant and the remains of it. So let's get started and head on down that trail. All right, so here is a look at the second Valley Forge train station. And this did have passenger service back in the day. If you remember from my other video, we saw one of the other Valley Forge train stations. It was called Valley Forge, but it was actually the Port Kennedy train station. So this is here at Washington's headquarters in Valley Forge Park. And you can see the Norfolk Southern tracks there. There were definitely more than 2 tracks here when there was passenger service here back in the day. This would be a good place to do some rail fanning along trackside there, but again, this rail line doesn't see much traffic during the daytime hours. So there's a look at the station and the loading platform. And yes, you can get pretty close to the tracks here, but they do have signs up, no trespassing, and believe it or not, I just saw a guy come jogging along the tracks and is headed down the tracks there. Not a smart idea on an active line like this. So one thing I want to point out here too that I took notice of, right over in the center there, you can see like where there would be steps coming up. I'm wondering if that would have been a loading and unloading platform on this side of the tracks, and then there was a tunnel that went under the tracks and under the station and came out down there, because I did see doors down there and everything. So maybe there was dual platforms here at one time. So there is a look at General George Washington's actual headquarters when he was here at Valley Forge Park. The house there and the barn over here that goes along with it. But we're not going to be checking that out today. Just wanted to show you that real quick. But where we're going to be headed is down that path and across Route 23 and try and hook up with a trail that's going to take us back to the bottling plant. So the last time I was actually at this part of Valley Forge Park was back in when I was in 3rd grade, and I believe it was 1979 when I was here on a field trip. And at that time, there used to be a souvenir shop, I believe, there at the train station or somewhere around it. I don't believe there's one there anymore today. There might be, but I really didn't check it out for sure. And from the looks of it, looks like a bus just pulled up there with a bunch of people. So we're going to be heading out here and doing our own thing and do a little bit more exploring along these trails. All right, so I know we're on the right track here to find this path to get back to the bottling company, because I've seen a bunch of people coming out of this road and a bunch of people walking back. So it looks like this is going to be the way we're going to use to get back there to it. Probably got about a mile walk ahead of us as we came in off of Route 23 right there. So we'll see if we find anything interesting along the way. So we are on what is called the Horseshoe Trail here in the park, and this is going to hopefully take us back to the area of interest today. I was debating if I wanted to bring the e-bike along and ride back here, but I don't know what the trail conditions are going to be like, if it's going to be open like this all the way back to the plant or not. I did pass one guy coming out here on an e-bike, but again, I'm not familiar with the area or the terrain here, as this is going to be winding around through the hills here. Spring is definitely here, as these are, I believe they're called day apples. I'm not quite sure if I got the right name there. If not, it'll be at the bottom of the screen there, the correct name, but they are coming up, and I believe one of them has a flower on it right there. So spring is definitely in the air. So we are on the right track. We're going to be making a right here, headed up the trail and out to Colonial Springs. The trail that's to the left over there will take me to the same area, but it's going to be more of a roundabout way to get to it. But I'm glad I didn't bring the e-bike, because they do not allow any bicycles on the trail that we're going to be headed on. Now I know why there's two paths here. This is the roundabout path. This is the path that I took. So yeah, if it's if you had heavy rains and stuff like that, you won't be getting across, because I'm sure the rocks and everything will be covered there. But it was easy to cross today, but we are at our destination. I can see it right up there on the left. Already got a foundation remains up there on my left that I just came across. Not sure what that would have been a structure for, but already finding remains before I even got up there. So as I came up here, I noticed that there was a cement foundation here, or platform, leading up to the stone structure. Not quite sure what this would have been, as there it looks like that might have been a wall back there, or maybe part of the building that extended along up through here at one time. Not sure. But I'm looking for clues around here that could help me out, and the only thing I found is this piece of brick right here. And I'll take a photograph and insert it into the video there and flip it for you. I'm not quite sure what the name of the company is, but that is definitely on the bottom there, Reading. So I'm going to see if I can run the photograph through AI, since we have that technology now. See if it can enhance those letters, and see if it can read what the what it actually says there. Okay, so rather than do this in post-production, I managed to find some information online while I'm here, and which is going to explain this whole area here and the places that I'm going to show you here, because I already did my scouting around here and found some really cool stuff. But anyway, it's not exactly clear when water from the spring was first commercially bottled, but it was probably after General Benjamin Franklin Fisher purchased the property in 1895. He was a Civil War hero serving in the Signal Corps. He was captured while on reconnaissance expedition, but managed to escape from Libby Prison in Richmond, Virginia. It took him 12 days of hardship to return to the Union side. Later, he was promoted to the position of Chief Signal Officer of the United States Army. After the war, he practiced as a lawyer, living initially on Valley Park Road in Schuylkill Township, which is just down the road here. He and his brother, C. Arthur Fisher, purchased very small, contiguous plots and assembled a large tract of land on Mount Misery, which is where I'm currently at. This area here is known as. So in 1895, he purchased the Colonial Springs plot from Mary J. Bean, another significant landowner in Valley Forge. Just got to go down here and read some more. Okay, there was another house adjacent to Fisher's home at Colonial Springs. It was known as the Slab Tavern, which I'll show you the remains of that. It's just across from the bottling plant here. Although it does not seem to ever have held a liquor license, it was once believed by many that General von Steuben was quartered at the house with his aides during the 1777-1778 encampment. After the park took over the area, they decided that the house was not of Revolutionary age and demolished both buildings in 1965. The foundations of the house can be seen opposite the bottling plant, which you're going to see here in a minute. And I'm also going to put pictures in here of what the house looked like the Slab Tavern, and also the bottling plant when it was in operation. So Fisher granted a lease to the Colonial Springs Bottling Company in 1908 to use the waters of Cold Spring, presumably an earlier name for Colonial Springs. Prior to this agreement in 1900, C.T. Chase agreed to purchase at least 5,000 gallons of Cold Springs water per month from Fisher. General Fisher died in 1915. His heirs sold the tract to Charles Hires, and if that name sounds familiar, it does, it should be, Hires Root Beer. There's no evidence that the Hires Company ever made root beer here at the Springs. The Hires Company's main plant was in the area down in Malvern. It's not clear whether the water from the spring was used to make root beer in Malvern. The Colonial Springs tract was purchased by Valley Forge State Park in the 1930s, and the bottling of the spring water stopped. So there is a plan here that I'll show you pictures of the area here. It was taken from topographical maps. They did have two dams here. The primary dam was where we walked across down there, and there's a secondary dam just across from here, and shows where General Fisher's house in the Slab Tavern was located. And there's also, according to the topographical map here, mineral railroad tracks, which I may have to look for while I'm here. I just saw that. And then there's a trail that runs up behind the plant here, which is the trail to Mount Misery. There was a woman who remembers the bottling plant in operation. Her name was Helen Davis DeBus, or DeBus, I should say, D-E-B-U-S, DeBus. She says that the building was filled with glass pipes, which transported the water from the spring to the bottling stations, and you're going to see the unique spring that's here. Hires sold spring water under the name of Pure Rock Water Company. It is now a long time since the waters of the spring was bottled, but the building and the area continue to fascinate the many hikers on Mount Misery, and it is definitely a significant part of the history of Valley Forge Village. So let me walk you around here and show you what's inside here and outside and the area. All right, so this is going to be easier switching to the phone to do this, but these are the steps that would have came up to the side of the bottling plant, and this is the door going inside, which this wasn't a big plant or anything. It was small, but I just can't imagine glass pipes running through here going to the bottling machines or anything. So if we look out the door over here, and I'll zoom in to show you, but right about there where my finger is the what I believe is the foundation to where the Slab Tavern would have been. Pretty much looks like this whole area here was pretty much squared off. So the tavern was definitely over in this area somewhere. And then the dam, which we'll take a look at, the secondary dam is going to be right there. And they do have a pipe coming out there with the water from the spring that actually runs through the bottling plant here, and it's up in there. Now that the big military helicopter passed that was flying real low, up here is where the spring came into the plant, and then up top there, which I'll show you, there's actually an opening up there that you can look down into the spring. But I just gotta navigate over there through this because it is a little marshy in here. But you're gonna like seeing how the spring came into the plant. Here is where the spring came into the plant. Had a nice little concrete gully there, or ditch, that it came out to the spring where it came out from underground, which is just around the corner. And I'll walk up there and show you that. Go up these steps. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the graffiti that's back here around the corner, because you know people just got to tag things. But there's where the spring came in from underground, came down through here and down into the plant. And then up top here was an opening. Not sure if there was windows in there at one time or not, or it might have been. But this is well poured concrete in here. And the water is crystal clear. I will say that. Probably would be definitely safe. There's a deeper end down here where you could stick a bottle in there and definitely get some of the water and drink it. It is that clear. And then here also in the building is something, I'm not quite sure what it would have been used for. There's definitely a piece of pipe or conduit coming out of the wall. Most likely it's a pipe for something, either water or gas or something, but it's not, safe to say it's not electrical, not with that fitting that's on there. Not quite sure what would have been in there. Here's another angle of the outside of the building, and this portion right here would have had a second floor on it that you saw in the old photograph of the place. So we're going to walk up the trail here, go up and show you that opening that's up there that showed you from inside the plant. So here is that opening, and I'll stick you over here, and you can see down in there, down into where the spring came in. And then also I discovered right over here, there is a cement chimney there with terracotta piping in it. So that would have been used obviously to provide, my guess would be, heat inside this place for in the wintertime. So nothing frozen here would be my guess. So I had to go ahead and do it. I just had to try the water coming out of there to see what it was like. And yes, it is natural spring water. Tastes just as good as the water you buy in bottles in the stores. There's a look at the secondary dam that's here, which would explain that wall that's running along there. And it's unclear as to why there were two dams here. Most likely it was thought that the water was used for farming, because this area, you know, was agriculture too at one time. And from the looks up there, there were fields up there at one time. So most likely used for irrigation purposes as well. So right over there where my finger is, and I'll zoom in and you can see it, there is the stone wall right there in the center of the screen. That would have been for most likely the slab house. And I did not find any information on that, what that structure would have been down there that I showed you when we first got here. So that's going to be chalked up as the unknown. Nothing online in that article that I found of what that would have been. No pictures or anything else. There's a better look at the wall over there where the house would have been. So this is something that is very peculiar here, and what this would have been used for. And this would, I don't think this would have been a non-pressurized pipe, judging by the look of it. There is definitely, I want to say that's probably a 12-inch pipe there that comes out from who knows where, or what it could even have been used for at one time. And it just looks like it would continue on down across the hillside there. I have no idea, and nothing giving any clues as to what it could have been used for. So I did manage to find a path down there by the pipe that came up through the ravine here, but I'm at the end of my rope because it ends right here. I don't have the proper footwear on today to be hiking around over and under all that stuff. I wanted to come up here and see if I could find anything from the railroad that was shown on that map, but there is nothing here, and maybe I'm just not close enough. Maybe it's further up in there, but I'm not going to be looking for it any further, because just looking up here, there's a residence, and right up there is a residence too. So I don't see any no trespassing signs, no purple paint or anything like that, but I'm not venturing any further to investigate what remains, if any, of a railroad could have been in here. So we are going to turn around and head back. And coming back down, I did find more of this pipe that's buried here, exposed in the ravine. And maybe it went up through and bared to the left up there, or continued straight. Not sure. So one final thing to take a look at before we head out of here. Here is the location of the primary dam for this area. Looks like there's another stone wall there too that could have been used for something. But wanted to check this out before we left here. So that is going to do it for this video down here at Valley Forge Park and for the Colonial Spring Bottling Plant. Interesting location, very neat. Would definitely recommend coming down here if you wanted to explore it for yourself. Again, park over at Washington's headquarters in the parking lot there and walk over. It's not that bad of a hike in to get to it, as you saw. And it might be about 3/4 of a mile to get from the parking area over to where the bottling plant is. It's no more than a mile, I can tell you that. So, and I know there's probably other, YouTube videos out there about this plant that people did, but this is my take on it for myself and everything. So, thanks for coming along, and as always, have a ball and do it all. We'll see you soon.